In this video, we'll be integrating the Google OAuth provider into our project. We've successfully integrated Github and we've tested it. Okay, so now let's integrate Google. All right, but before we go into that, I want to show you something minor here. Okay, it is possible that when you use this use hash params hook, nextjs might give you error. Okay, I'm surprised that I've not gotten the error by now, but when I was developing the project, I ran into the error. So the error is that whenever you use this hook, there is need for you to wrap the component in a suspense component. Okay, so just in case you run into the same error, just go to your sign up and sign in form where we render the OAuth buttons, and then you just wrap the component in a suspense component. Okay, so to do that, you just come here, you import the suspense component from React, okay, and then you wrap your OAuth button inside of the component. You also do same for sign up form. Okay, I'm going to have suspense. Okay, then you wrap this inside of, you use it to wrap your OAuth buttons. Let me see if it has been imported. Okay, so that's that for that. Now let's go ahead to integrate Google. Okay, first things first, let's create the click invert on our sign on our Google button. Okay, so we're just going to change GitHub to Google. All right, so that's that for that. Now let's go ahead to register our application. To do that, you need to come to this Google documentation. And let me zoom this in. To get to this point, just go to your search engine and search for Google OAuth. Okay, so if you search for that, you're going to have this link. You click on that and it's going to direct you to this page. Okay, now this is the top of the page. You click on this Google API console. All right, so I'm going to click on that. Then it's going to direct me to a page where I'm going to set up my app and obtain the client ID and client secret. Okay, so you are going to have this page. Then if you have this page, just go to your OAuth consent screen. All right, yeah, if you are doing this for the first time on your Google account, there is the possibility that you are not going to have this page straight away. You are going to have a form that is asking you for details about your application. That is the name of your application, your own email, and all of that. Okay, so don't worry. I'm also going to be filling all of those details. I'm just informing you that there is the possibility that your own interface might be different if you are doing this for the very first time on your account. Okay, so to see that for me, I'm going to go to branding. Okay, so here I can provide the name of my app. All right, I've done this once, that's why you have test here. So the name of my app is going to be authentication flow. Okay, so user support email, you need to provide this. Just put your email there. This email will be visible to users if they need to contact you for support with respect to Google OAuth process. Okay, if you need to upload logo, this is where you provide that. All right, we can leave all of this out. Okay, so you need to also provide the this email address. This one is for Google. If Google needs to contact you, all right, about your application, this one is not visible to the user. This is the one that is visible to the user. Okay, so I'm going to save that. All right, now I'm going to go to audience. All right, if you are doing this for the very first time, everything will just be listed for you one step after the other. You don't need to be clicking all of this. Okay, so on this testing, you can make your app it will either be in development or production. Okay, so currently as it is, this is in development. You can see here I have publish app. If I click on publish app now, so that means it will be in production. You can see now in production, but I'm just going to leave it in production. Okay, so the difference between testing and production, you can see this has changed to production. Before it was in testing. The difference between them is that when it is in testing, you can only use some certain selected emails to test your app. Okay, but in production, any emails can be used with your app. Okay, so let me change it back to testing so that you can see what I'm talking about. Let me go back to testing. Okay, so now it is in testing. As it is in testing now, so I can add users that can access my application. So if I click on this now, I'm going to provide email of users that I want to access my application, okay? But in production, you don't have to provide emails of any user. Any user with a Google email account can just access your app, okay? So I'm just going to leave it in production so that I can use any email to access my application, okay? So that's that about audience. Now we are going to go to clients. This is where we are going to obtain the client ID and the client secret. Okay, so to do that, you just click on this create client, okay? And there is an alternative route. You can click on that and you can come to this overview. Okay, so you click on create OAuth client. Both of the links are going to direct you to the same thing, okay? All right, so here you are going to select the application type. Okay, so we are going to select web application. We are not creating Android app, we are not creating Chrome extension and all of that. We are working with our web application. So create the name. This name, you can make it the same name as your app, but it is this name you are going to be seeing on your own console here, on Google console here. So I'm just going to give it the same name, Authentication Low. Okay, so here you are going to add the URL of your home page. So currently we are still in development, so I'm going to have HTTPS. I hope you can see this. Okay, HTTPS/localhost:3000. Okay, and now we are going to add our redirect URI. So I'm going to add URI here. Okay, so let me just copy this. Okay, this. So our redirect URI goes by API/OAuth. Ensure that what you provide here is very correct, because if it is not correct, your app is not going to work. All right. We have HTTPS localhost 3000 API OAuth. Then here we have Google. You know, when we were working with our app, we had GitHub rather than Google. Okay, so now we are going to have Google. Okay, and there is a little difference with Google and GitHub. With Google, if you are going to be passing additional params, you need to provide them as part of your redirect URI. So we are passing both sign in as action, sign in and sign up. So we need to provide both these params here. Okay, you know, with GitHub you don't have to provide this, but with Google you need to provide that. Okay, so now I'm going to duplicate this. Okay, I'm going to change our action here to sign up. Okay, so I'm going to change this to sign up. And like I said, with GitHub you don't have to provide this, but with Google you need to provide that. Okay, so now that's all we need to do. I'm going to create my client now. Okay, so here now we have our client ID and the client secret. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. You need to copy it also into your app. Okay, so I'll copy my client ID. Okay, so we need to go to our env. All right, so go to your env file, or let me use env.example that I'll be using. Add from time. So Google client ID, I'm going to replace all of this with my client ID. Okay, now for the client secret, we also need to copy the client secret. Okay, so I'm going to paste that here, client secret for Google. I'm going to now we can click OK. All right, and that's all we need to do with Google. Okay, so let's go to our app now. All right, you know, this is .env.example, so I need you to copy this env to your .env file, the actual file that we are using in our app. We've always be using this just for illustration, so copy all of this and paste them in your .env. Okay, so after pasting them, then we can now go to our env schema and add this into our schema. Okay, so we're going to go to env server file. Okay, now we need to add for Google ID and secret. So I'm just going to duplicate this. They have the same schema anyway, so I'm going to change this to Google. Okay, so from here we are going to have a Google client ID, and this one is going to be Google client secret. Google client secret. So I'm going to save that. All right, now we need to go to our OAuth client to activate Google. All right, OAuth clients, do we have them here? Okay, don't forget to add your on-click events to your Google button. Okay, now let's go to our OAuth client. All right, now we need to add Google URL and all of this. Okay, first off, let's change this to Google client ID, and this one is going to be, oh, sorry, I'm still using Google GitHub Google. Okay, and this one is going to be for Git Google client secret. Google client secret. Okay, the scope is going to be different from this. So the scope is going to be email, okay, space profile. If you go through the Google documentation, you'll be seeing all of this in the documentation, but we don't need to go into all of that to save ourselves some time. And we also need to change all of these endpoints to Google's endpoint. So I'm just going to copy this. Okay, if you want to see all of them, then you need to dig into the Google documentation. All right, we've done something similar when we're dealing with GitHub to save ourselves all of those times. Okay, so this is the URL to get to authorize our app. Okay, you can just pause the video and write this out. Okay, and this is the URL for to obtain the access token. All right, and this is the URL to get the user details. Okay, now that's all we need to do. Just pause the video and write out these endpoints. If you want to see them, just dig into the Google documentation, the point where we got to this place. Okay, let me search for Google OAuth. Google OAuth. All right, so if you dig into this documentation, you're going to be having all of those endpoint. All right, so we're just going to save ourselves those times. Okay, now we can test out our app. That's all, everything we need to do. Let me see if my, okay, it's still running. That's all we need to do. Now let's test our app. Okay, all right, so I'm going to click on my Google button now. I should be redirected to the Google authorization page. So I'm going to select my email. All right, okay, I'm going to click on continue. All right, so if everything goes well, then we should land on our dashboard page. Okay, all right, so you can see now how easy and simple it is to integrate Google into our project. And this is also the same if you want to integrate other OAuth providers into your project. Just get your client ID and client secret. Okay, get the endpoints. All right, and then you'll be good to go. Okay, and one more thing that you need to do when you are adding more providers, just add the expected schema. Okay, but take note that all we need is the ID, the email, and the name. Okay, so those are the important things that we need from our user details. Okay, so that's all we need to do, and now we are done with the project. But just one more thing. Okay, there is an additional security measure that is supported by Google that we can also integrate into our project, and that is called proof key for code exchange. Okay, it's an additional security measure that we can integrate into our project to make it much more secure with respect to OAuth. Okay, but this is not supported by GitHub yet, but it is supported by Google. So we'll be dealing with that in our next video, and that will mark the end of the whole project. Okay, so for all of that, I'll be seeing you in the next video. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel.